Hi guys, I hope you're well. Today we're going to be talking about the situation in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and I'm going to be touching on some misconceptions and also misinformation that is circulating in the internet, and also trying to help you guys understanding what's the real situation. So I've made quite a lot of videos regarding this, but today I would like to provide some historical background on the current situation. The conflict that is taking part of the eastern part of the Congo, specifically in Goma. Um, Basically, Goma is in the eastern part of the Congo. I'll show you here on the map quickly. Okay, so you can see we got the Democratic Republic of Congo here, and then we have Rwanda here, and as you can see, Goma is right here. So you can see this is the border between Rwanda and the Congo. There's an airport here, okay, which is the Goma International Airport, and Rwanda's borders is this. So as you can see, it's really close to the airport, and it's really close to Goma as well. So this city is the second biggest one in the Congo, and it's a border city basically. You can see the roads, the houses, it's everything is integrated with Rwanda as well. So um, the area in which the conflict is taking place is around 75.72 square kilometers. Okay, this is like 29.24 square miles, and this only represents 0.00.32% of the total landmass of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, which is absolutely nothing. The Congo itself is 2,345 million square kilometers. This is a huge country. So one of the main questions people ask on the internet is the reason why the Congo cannot control the situation in the east part of the country. So many people wonder how much or how comes a such vast country like the Congo cannot control the situation, especially when it is influenced by a small neighboring country like it is Rwanda. So historically, Rwanda, supported by Western nations, okay, and these include Israel, they have taken advantage of the instability in the Congolese government, and they remove many Congolese leaders from power, and they impose those who serve the interest of Rwanda. Many of them were Congolese, obviously, but they were serving the interest of Rwanda. And later, I'm going to explain why. So there are at least 700 ethnic Rwandese in the Congolese army. Many of them are high-ranking officers, okay? Mainly in the eastern part of the Congo. So these individuals move to different parts of the Congo, and they assimilated or they mix up with the natives, the native population of the Congo. They also moved to the capital, Kinshasa, and they also mixed up with the people that live in the capital, okay? So many of them, as I say, they hold positions of power, not only in the military, but also in the government. And as I say, they prioritize the interest of Rwanda in the Congo. So when this conflict began, which has been happening for many years, this is not something that started last month, okay? But when it begins, many of the Rwandan officers that were part of the Congolese army, and I'll explain to you later why they're part of the Congolese army, they just fled to Rwanda, they deposed their weapons, they took off their uniforms, and they just moved to Rwanda, or they joined the M23 fighters, okay? And as I say, this is an act of treason. Any country that sees this happening is gonna say it's an act of treason, okay? And it's simple as that. So the Congolese army faces many obstacles, okay? Mainly the officers of Rwanda, of the Rwandan origin, that hold influence within the Congolese army. And then many army recruits in Eastern Congo that are ethnically Rwandese. So the M23 rebel group, which is backed by Rwanda, it claims that they claim they want to increase the political rights within the Congo, and they also ask for more integration within the Congo. This is something that they have been asking for many years, but now, since the last revolt, the intentions and the aims have changed quite significantly. And this is something that I'm going to be touching later. So let's start with the ethnics of Eastern Congo, okay? We have one of the biggest group, which are called the Banya. I have difficulties pronouncing this name, but they call the Mulenge, Banya Mulenge. And let's talk about them and the connection with Rwanda. Yeah. So the people in South Kivu, many of them, are known as the Banyamulenge and are an ethnic group that migrated from Rwanda and settled in Eastern Congo. So during the 19th century, this is when these people were moved from Rwanda into Congo. The Belgian colonizers, they used them for agricultural labor in this area of the Congo. And over time, many of them, they mixed up. There were two main ethnic groups, the Hutus and the Tutsis, that they were pretty much created by the Belgians. One of the groups, the Tutsis, were given more administrative roles in the colony, and others were given more agricultural roles in the colony, which were the Hutus. This division later led to what we know as the G crime or the G event in Rwanda, or as many want to call it, the Rwandan Civil War. So back in the 19th century, many of the Tutsis were moved into the eastern part of the Congo, okay? And they've been there for many, many, many years. Over time, many Hutus also joined them. Due to the internal conflicts within Rwanda, these people found refuge into the eastern part of the Congo. So the key historical events regarding the migration of these individuals into the Congo are in 1895, where, well, after the colonial times, okay, in 1895, like, more Rwandans arrived after a war, okay. Then 1925 and 1930, another wave of Rwandan Tutsis came to the eastern part of the Congo, but these individuals came looking for jobs, agricultural jobs, okay? And then many of them were also fleeing the colony because there were high taxes, and they're looking for places where they could buy land and do the life and don't pay high taxes, okay? So this was during the colonial times. I did say after, but this was during the colonial times. Then, after the colonial times, in 1971, Mobutu Sese Seko, who was a Congolese dictator, who basically stopped the Congolese revolution, and he aligned with the USA and Western countries, and he basically granted many of the Banyamulenge people citizenship in the Congo. So they became Congolese citizens. But what happened is that he limited their right to hold political office or to run for the presidency of the country, right? So despite claims by the M23, Rwandan refugees in Congo were granted similar rights to the Congolese nationals, but could not hold office or run elections. The M23 says that they are discriminated against and they don't have any rights in the Congo, which, if you look at history, this is not correct. In fact, many of the conflicts that happened within the Congo was because of the question of their rights within the country and their treatment as well. So, obviously, as I say, this restriction of them not holding office in the Congo led to many protests. Just imagine, like, a group of refugees in your country. They come, they settle, you help them somehow, and then they decide, or they want to get to influence the government. They want to be in power. They want to control the government of a foreign country that is giving them refuge. So this was the situation. Many Congolese natives, they were completely against this. And they say, this is madness. This is not allowed anywhere in the world. So why these people should be allowed to have this right in the Congo, a country from which they are not the natives, okay? So during the 1990s, many Banyamulenge people joined the Rwandan Patriotic Front, which stands for RPF, okay? And this was during the Rwandan Civil War, or the G Civil War. So many of them joined them, and this raised an important question within the Congo, which was, if you consider yourself Congolese and you consider yourself a Congolese national and you want to have some kind of influence within the Congolese government, even hold positions of power, how comes do you participate in the Rwandan war if you are Congolese? And this is a vital question to understand the who they align with when it comes to political issues within the Congo or within Rwanda. So many of them were Tutsis, and they crossed the border into Rwanda to join the current war that was taking place in order to support the Tutsi government. Okay? So their ethnic lineage heavily influenced their political motivations and the alienation with the Rwandan group Tutsi. So to manage the internal divisions within the Congo, which within the eastern part of the Congo, which is where these people were taking refuge, the Congolese government of Mobutu, okay, they started segregating these individuals in order to differentiate who was Tutsi and who was Hutu. Okay. Now let's move into the history of the M23, which is a Rwandan-backed group which are masquerading as a Congolese rebellion group. So the M23 presents itself as a Congolese revolutionary group, but is composed mainly of non-native Congolese. The main ethnic group that form the M23 are Tutsis. Some of them are also Hutus, okay? So what they're doing now is they are placing a Lingala, which is one of the languages spoken in Congo, the most spoken. They place a Lingala-speaking Congolese figure in front of the cameras to appear more legitimate, to actually make people think that they're actual Congolese that are part of the M23 and they are the ones actually taking control of the Kivu, okay, and being welcomed by the people of Kivu, which is something that I'm going to discuss later as well. So they place Lingala speaking Congolese in front of the cameras, which is what they're doing now, and they do some acts in order to convince people of that. So while they lack national support all over the Congo, they do benefit from the Rwandan financial and military assistance, which allows them to carry out these ethnic cleansing campaigns that are taking place in the Congo, and they have been taking place for many, many, many years. Okay, if you don't believe me, you should look at the UN report in which they confirm that the M23 basically are supported by Rwanda. Okay, I don't have it here at the moment, but I mean, you can find it yourself. Okay. Now, the M23 stands for March 23rd of March, which is a date. They originally called themselves the Congolese Revolutionary Army. They operate in North Kivu, although they come from South Kivu. Okay, and they mainly exploit the region's wealth. And this is something that you can find yourself because it's on Wikipedia, it's on the internet, it's everywhere. The M23 group is exploiting minerals in the eastern part of the Congo. Since 2012, they have displaced local population, they have engaged in ethnic cleansing, and they confiscated resources from illegal mining. So they move the population out, they take over the mines or they create new mines and they start mining those minerals illegally. Later I'll explain where these minerals go. Okay, so there is a UN report that clearly states that Rwanda created and supports the M23. It's on the internet, go and look for it. They supported them and they also fueling chaos in the Congo. There are multiple Rwandan officials and M23 leaders that have been accused by the UN Security Council of committing atrocities in the Congo. And they also propose to sanction these individuals. In 2009, the leader, Laurent Nkunda, he was arrested and a peace treaty was signed between the Congolese government and the M23. The CNPDP, which stands for the National Congress for Defense of the People, which was the M23 predecessors, they requested the following as part of the agreement, okay? That's where the name comes from, 23rd of March. So they wanted their prisoners to be released. They wanted a political party status in the Congo. They wanted the reintegration of the refugees in the Congo. And they wanted military and governmental integration. So despite these concessions, they continue ethnically cleansing and resource exploiting the eastern part of the Congo. So many of these individuals from the M23, they actually became part of the Congolese army in the eastern part of the Congo, and many moved to the capital Kinshasa in order to take big roles in the army. Not only that, many of them moved to Kinshasa and they mixed up with the local and the native population in Kinshasa. Today, there are many Rwandan ethnic individuals living in Kinshasa, and they mixed up with the Congolese population. Okay? So, another question is, why does Rwanda, such a small country, control the eastern part of the Congo? So, Rwanda's influence in eastern Congo can be attributed to several factors. So, the Congolese military presence in the region is heavily influenced by ethnic Tutsis or people of Rwandan origin. So the army itself in Eastern Congo, many of them, as I explained to you before, they are ethnically from Rwanda or they are Tutsis from Rwanda. The local population itself in Kivu include many Tutsis who align with the Rwandan interests, and they did this for many years and many times. As I explained to you before, they crossed the border to join the Tutsi rebel groups that they wanted to take control over the Hutu controlled government in Rwanda. Not only that, Rwanda itself is a Tutsi-led country. As many of you might know, Paul Kagame is of Tutsi ethnic background, okay? So when it comes to proximity, I showed you the map here before, okay, where Goma is located and where Rwanda is. Seriously, it's like 2 steps away. So Goma is only 176 kilometers from Kigali, okay, which is here, which is the capital of Rwanda. You can see it here, okay? Unlike Kinshasa, Goma is basically 1,581 kilometers away from Kinshasa, which is the capital of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So Goma is here, okay, you can see it on here. Let's find out where Kinshasa is. It's right here. So it's a huge distance, okay? Huge distance between this and this. Look at the distance, all right? So obviously, the logistical disadvantage delays effective military intervention from the Congolese government. It takes a long time for the Congolese government to go to the eastern part of the country to quell a revolt which has started by the M23 and also the supporters in the Congolese army and also in those regions, okay? So, as it happens in the past, this always has happened, but then the Congolese government, together with other countries, have regained control of the situation. It's not something that's going to happen straight away. It takes some time because these M23 fighters, every time they get defeated by the Congolese army, they flee to Rwanda and they flee to Uganda. And over there they get trained, they get finance, and then they come back again by plane into Kivu to orchestrate another revolution again. Okay? So, who benefits from this war? So Rwanda officially exports gold, making it up to 30.6% of the total exports to other countries overseas. However, Rwanda has no significant gold reserves. Now, vast amount of minerals such as gold, coltan, and cobalt, which pretty much same thing, are smuggled from Kivu to Rwanda, where they enter the global markets. So this region is controlled by rebels. These rebels transport the minerals to Rwanda, and then Rwanda sells these minerals in the global market. So let's have a look here. I'll show you right now. This is Rwanda, and I'll show you the OEC charts when it comes to the export. So you can see here, 30.6% is gold. Then they got tin ores, refined petroleum, and other minerals, as you can see here. Okay. Then very important as well is coffee and tea, because these two, they also come from the Congo. In fact, the European Union has imposed sanctions in the Congo on the export of these two, but for some reason, Rwanda continues to export them, although they come from the Congo. And this is something that I will touch on later. Okay. So, cobalt, which is a mineral that is extremely important for the technological advancements that we're seeing today, for mobile phones, computers, drones, and everything that we need for the AI revolution as well, which is based on computer power. Cobalt is a really important resource that is used for these technologies. Okay. So although the cobalt appears under Congo's export statistics, okay, I'll show you here. This is Congo now. We're back on the OEC, and you can see here that cobalt is 21% of the export. Sorry, this is 2022, but still pretty much the same today. And then you have refined copper, okay? Cobalt is right here. Now, although it appears here, and Congo is classified as the biggest exporter of cobalt in the world, the country that actually exports the cobalt is not Congo, but it's actually Rwanda. So the EU has signed a cobalt deal with Rwanda, not with Congo, although Rwanda doesn't have cobalt. So as you can see here on this article from The Guardian, it clearly says that there are pressures growing on the EU to freeze minerals deal with Rwanda over DRC fighting. Minerals to help the European Union with the advance in AI, in electric cars and computers. Rwanda doesn't have this, but the European Union has signed a deal with Rwanda for the import of these mineral resources, which are pretty much smuggled into Rwanda by the M23 and other rebel groups. However, the Congo cannot export this mineral to the European Union. Okay. So, the M23 controls these illegal supply chains, and they ensure that Rwanda continue dominating over these valuable minerals. So despite the UN reports confirming that Rwanda's role is actually destabilizing the Congo, the EU imposes sanctions on Congolese exports, as I said before, as coffee, tea, and cobalt, while continuing to trade in agreements with Rwanda. See, this is hypocrisy. And this hypocrisy highlights Western complicity in this crisis. As I say, there are many European countries that they actually highlight in this hypocrisy and saying, why are you signing a mineral deal with Rwanda when they're clearly the country that they're taking these minerals from Congo, and this is fueling the conflict in the Congo. And today, there are countries debating this in the EU as well, in the UN as well, and they're clearly saying that Rwanda is the country that is actually supporting the M23 rebels and also exporting these minerals. Okay? So, Rwanda is a country that receives a lot of Western support. Okay? Western financial support, aid, and military training. Right? So, Paul Kagame, who has been the president of Rwanda for 24 years, okay, looks more like a monarchy rather than a democracy. So, he's been the president since 2000s, and this guy, he was trained by the CIA, by the US, and by the Department of Defense at Fort Leavenworth, I think. Yeah, I think it's Leavenworth. There are pictures of him basically taking training with these guys before the Rwandan G conflict and doing it and after as well. So after his return from this training, which Fort Leavenworth is a place where many individuals have trained, and then they carry out revolutions in the home countries. Okay. After this, he came back to Africa, to Rwanda, and people basically say, some people say, that he did take part on the removal of 3 African presidents in a space of 6 months. Okay, so Rwanda received extensive foreign aid from the US, for example, which is 124 million. That was in 2021, and it continues to date. And the total foreign aid is around 1.3 billion that they receive every year. There was also proposal from the EU to provide Rwanda with military aid. The total sum was 20 million, which was proposed. And obviously some countries like France and Belgium did oppose this completely. The UK itself, it provides 1 billion in aid in total. That's the total they provided to Rwanda since 1998, which was during the G crime times. Okay, so as you can see, Rwanda receives quite a lot of money from other countries. Israel is also one of the countries that provide military aid and also financial aid to Rwanda. So Israel and Rwanda, they have some kind of military cooperation. Okay, Israel openly supports Rwanda, providing finance and military assistance. Notably, Israel has provided artillery, which was used by the M23 rebels to eliminate about 7 South African peacekeepers soldiers. This is not new. Rwanda has unalived many blue helmets in the eastern part of the Congo, but this was recently, and there is a massive beef between these 2 countries, South Africa and Rwanda at the moment, where Rwanda is saying, you want war, bring it on, and South Africa is saying, you cross the red line, if this happen again, we're gonna bring you war. Anyways, back to the topic in hand. So Israel has provided these artillery shells, which have been used by the M23 rebels. Israel gave it to Rwanda, and now they have appeared in the hands of the M23 rebels. Just for those that they're not 100% sure if Rwanda is involved in this. Okay, so Israel ties to Rwanda, they date back to the 1960s, so around 1962, and they have maintained strong relationships under both the Hutu and the Tutsi leadership. So Paul Kagame, he frequently addressed AIPAC, okay, and he has been strengthening, making more stronger the relationship between Israel and Rwanda. Rwanda consistently supports Israel in the UN, and they support their votes. Often they just don't vote against certain resolutions which aim to provide the Palestinians an statehood. Okay, Kagame also uses the G narrative, okay, or what some people call the G card, in order to justify the actions of Rwanda in Eastern Congo. And he constantly come out supporting the M23, although he says they're not linked to Rwanda, but people know 100% that they're linked to Rwanda because Rwanda created the M23. But he keeps saying that they're not involved. The problems are political problems within the Congo. However, Israeli shells have appeared there. Not only that, there are around 3,000 Rwandan soldiers within Eastern Congo alongside with the M23 rebels. Okay, and they have been there for many years now. So, who is the new M23 leader? This guy we keep seeing on TV. His name is Corneille Nanga, something like that. And he's the new M23 political leader. And obviously he's bringing a new agenda, which is different from what the M23 used to fight for before. So Corneille Nanga, he is the former head of Congo's electoral body, and he's now associated with the M23. So he was part of the government, okay? And he's not a Tutsi, he's not a Hutu, but he's an opportunist. He's a person who wants to remove the current Congolese government from power, and he has aligned his interests with the M23. And now he seems like the leader, okay? So Congolese ethnic individual, now is the leader of the M23. So this guy, he oversaw Congo's 2018 election and was sanctioned by the US for undermining democracy in Congo because the current president of the Congo was re-elected, and apparently they didn't follow the democratic procedure to elect him again. But this guy was supervising all that. So he was really discontent with the mining concessions that the country was providing to different countries, and he has many disputes with the current president of Congo. And then he wanted to change the political power in Congo, so remove the president in Congo, right? He has been involved recently with the M23, as I said before, and it seems like the M23 wants to change the image and use a Congolese individual in order to deceive people and make them believe that the movement is actually led by Congolese people and they're seeking for political change because the Congolese government doesn't pay the soldiers enough, and they rather contract mercenaries from like Romania in order to protect them, and there's quite a lot of corruption in Congo, etc., etc., etc. So it's bringing up all these things that everybody knows about the Congo, and he's using them to basically create his political agenda in order to try to persuade Congolese people to support him in his revolution against the Congolese government. However, this guy has joined the M23. These guys are notorious because of the actions and the ethnic cleansing in the eastern part of the Congo. So I don't know what he's playing, to be honest with you. But obviously the guy speaks English, speaks French, and he's quite fluent as well on these languages, and he seems like an educated person. So his figure itself is very convincing. And there are many people in the internet that after listening to what he says, what he's proposing, and his critique about the government, they actually believe in him. But many people, it's the first time that they see this guy and they don't know his background, who was actually part of the government. He was supervising the elections in the Congo, and he has been there for many years. He's not someone that came out of the M23. He was a political figure in Congo that joined the M23, and he's using it now in order to support him in his new crusade in Congo. He clearly said on TV that his aim is to take power in Congo. He wants to march from the east all the way to Kinshasa and take power, which is something that happened many times in the Congo before. Okay, it's nothing new in the Congo. This happened before. Many rebel leaders have done this before, and they have taken power and they have worked for the interests of Rwanda in the Congo. Okay, but now this is the new phase now. They removed the Tutsi-led phase that they had before, and now it's the actual native Congolese that is doing this, together with other native Congolese as well, okay? They put a Lingala-speaking person at the front of the cameras to make people believe that they're actually the ones that are carrying some kind of revolution, okay? But the things continues. This guy had a dispute with the mining contracts in the Congo. Now he's in the eastern part of the Congo, taking control of those mines. So his interest is still aligned with the interest of the M23 and the interest that the Rwanda government has had in the eastern part of the Congo for many years. So many people don't really think that Rwanda is present in the Congo, although there is a lot of evidence. I mean, they went into the country at least twice to remove the president and to change it for another person, some rebel guy, and they put that guy in power, a dictator basically, to run the country. So they remove one dictator and they replace it by another one that favors Rwanda more than them. And this was the actual Rwandan army that has done this. So the Rwandan forces, they don't just operate in the Congo. They operate across Africa. And they operate sometimes under the UN peacekeeping missions, so the Blue Helmets. For example, in Mozambique, and in Central African Republic. I mean, in Mozambique, it's a very interesting case because they went into Mozambique because there was a threat from some Islamic terrorist group or whatever, which are taking control over a territory where there is quite a lot of gas, always mineral and natural resources. And there are big companies, big French companies like Total and other companies that have economic activities in this part of Mozambique. And they have to stop it because of the Islamic Islamist terrorists that are there. So Rwanda has sent troops. South Africa has sent troops as well into Mozambique. However, it's not 100% sure what the intention of Rwanda is in Mozambique. Even the authorities of Mozambique have asked them to leave, but they haven't left the country. They didn't leave the country, and they continue occupying the area. So there are countries like France, for example, that they are concerned about this because there is economic interest in that area, okay? And actually, the Rwandese soldiers are just not leaving. So for some reason, the Rwandan military is placed in an area where there is graphite, gemstones, and a lot of gas, as I said before, okay? So, taking into consideration everything that I've told you today, I would like to answer some of the questions that we have in the internet today, okay? So just give me a second. I'll show you this article from the BBC where you can clearly see, and they clearly state, that Rwanda is supporting the rebels in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the M23. I invite you to read it, look for it. There's quite a lot of evidence on the internet which actually shows this, okay? Then there's another article here from A, which clearly states and shows evidence on the M23 rebels in Congo using advanced arms similar to Israeli military. And this came from a South African former general, which the evidence was provided to him. This article is from the 28th of January 2025, okay? Have a read of it, because it's really interesting. Now, let's answer some of the questions on the internet today. So, the information I provided to you, it provides answer to these key questions. 1. Are the M23 actions justified? Clearly not. They are ethnic cleansing, they're exploiting mineral resources, and these guys have been doing this for many years. 2. Is Rwanda involved in the conflict? Yes, 100%. 3. Does Rwanda receive Western military aid? Yes. It received military aid from many Western countries. Are the Banyamulenge people Congolese? By nationality, they are. Ethnically, they are not. They are Tutsis, they are Hutus, they're a mixture of these two. Not only that, the name, it's a made-up name from the mountain, okay? Which is pretty much what they mean, okay? So, they make up this name in order to appear more Congolese. But these people are not native from Congo. They come from Rwanda. Even some people say they come from Somalia and other countries, okay? Kenya, etc. So these people are not ethnically from there. They are Congolese, of course, by nationality, because they've been living there for many years. But when you have a group of people that are not supporting the interests of the government, or they are actually creating issues in the country, and they're inviting other foreign powers or other foreign countries and rebel groups to create problems in a specific region, that's not the kind of people you want to have in a country, isn't it? And this wouldn't be accepted by any Western countries, having a group of people that are actually looking for trouble every single time and for many years. Anyways, they are Congolese by nationality, but then themselves, they consider themselves ethnically Tutsis, Hutus, Rwandans, and from another place. Now, are the M23 members Congolese? No. Okay? That's really simple. They are not. Although they put a Congolese person at the front and speak Lingala, they're not Congolese. So is Rwanda exporting stolen minerals? Yes. And I'll show you the stats. Gold, cobalt. Apart from that, agricultural produce like coffee and tea. All this has been smuggled into Rwanda and then sold in the international market. There is a UN report that clearly explains this. I give you quite a lot of detail of how they do it. There's people there in Eastern Congo that can see this, and they have been reporting this for many years. Is Paul Kagame a democratic leader? Is he the Putin of Africa, like the Rwandans want to call him? No. He's been in power for 24 years. As I say, this is more a monarchy than a democracy. He's always getting 99.99% of the vote in Rwanda. Okay? Despite the fact that there is no opposition in Rwanda, many of them have fled. Some of them have gone to South Africa. Many of them have been chased in South Africa and actually eliminated by the Paul Kagame government. Okay? But you can't have a guy for 24 years in power and say that your country is democracy. So can Congo regain control of the eastern part of the Congo, the Congolese government actually? Not immediately. I'll show you the demographic, I'll show you the map of the Congo and how difficult it will be for the Congolese army to move across all this land all the way to the eastern part of the Congo, okay? Does this actually mean that these people should be given independence? No. Congo is a sovereign country. And these people shouldn't be given independence if they just moved there as refugees. And now they're asking for that part of land to be removed from the Congo. That this is just wrong. And this is not how things work anywhere in this world. So that's the West have interest in the Congo. Yes, as I showed you before, the EU is trying to strike a deal. Well, they strike a deal with Rwanda for the import of natural resources that are required for the technological revolution, AI, computers, and all that. So final thoughts on this. There are many Rwandans on the internet today saying that they are proudly Rwandans and that they're not ashamed of being Rwandan and they support the president Paul Kagame 100%. Not only that, when they see a live from the Congolese individual, from Congolese people on TikTok, on other social media platforms, they're always trying to get in to intervene and to educate the Congolese, trying to tell them that what they're saying is wrong, that the government is the actual problem, and that the Rwandans are not involved whatsoever with the M23 and the problems that they are in the Congo. Infantilizing the Congolese people, making them actually think that, hey, you guys don't know nothing, we know everything, okay? And many people have called this the Tutsi supremacy, in which or Tutsi supremacists, that they actually think that they know everything that is happening in the Congo, although they are covering the actual crimes of the government in the Congo. In fact, many might not know. Many might be deceived and they might actually be thinking that the government is not actually involved in what's happening in the Congo. But there is quite a lot of evidence and also accusations from big organizations like the United Nations, which clearly state that the Rwandese government is heavily involved in the conflict in the Congo. Okay? So those who support the actions of the Rwandan president, they are direct beneficiaries of the Congolese exploitation, ethnic cleansing, and exploitation of the natural resources. Understanding these historical and political dynamics that I just clarified to you, it's important to understand why Kivu, the eastern part of the Congo, is easily controlled by Rwanda and the M23 rebels and other rebel groups. Okay, so I hope this video was informative to you. If you like it, please share it with your friend, with your family, people that might be interested about the topic in the Congo. And please make sure you research your information like I did, and you stop just believing on what you listen or what you hear in a video on social media. So as always, I'll continue informing you.